Hello, welcome to Real Talk. I am your host, Paul Britton. It's a movie review show. I've got two movies to review because they both came out this weekend. We're just going to get it kicked off right away. Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat. Okay. Yeah, we're going to do Mortal Kombat 2. Just This is a prequel or a sequel, not a prequel, a sequel to the 2021 movie, which was a complete reboot of the franchise and completely ignored the terrible movies that started with a 1990 something or other movie that was terrible. I mentioned already it was terrible, and all of its terrible sequels, which I didn't see any of. I saw the original. I was like, this is crap. I don't need to see the sequels. But then the reboot came, and look, okay, so the first Mortal Kombat game came out, I think 1991. I was, definitely target audience for the original Mortal Kombat game. I was terrible at fighter games, and I usually didn't like them too much. However, Mortal Kombat I liked, and I was also terrible at. And my character that I played every time was Johnny Cage. And so in the first Mortal Kombat movie that came out in 2021, they did not introduce Johnny Cage. They wanted to lay down some lore, and they decided they were going to focus on the lore between Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and then and while also establishing the lore of why are there mortal combats, I should say. And the first movie wasn't terrible. The Mortal Kombat, the reboot, wasn't terrible. I really, really, really liked the beginning, and I liked the ending, but the middle, it was a problem. And the middle part was just a slog. And it involved Kano, who I was probably my least favorite, like, the character to encounter while playing Mortal Kombat. And so Johnny Cage not being there, I was like, oh, bummer. And then I saw that Johnny Cage was going to be introduced, and I said, oh, hooray, but I am also not expecting anything. So I come into this with super low expectations. And so there are two characters that they establish the lore of. One is Katana, whose friend, there are a couple other characters whose lore is established along with Katana while doing this. And Katana is the female character who has the buns in her hair and the deadly fans. And so they establish her lore, and many years ago, or centuries ago, or whatever, there is a terrible person who is trying to take over a realm and does Mortal Kombat with her realm, and her father is killed, and she has to be considered the daughter of the person who blah blah blah. It's the big tall guy from the Mortal Kombat games who, like, his move was that he would go fast towards you. And so, like, if you got hit by that, you're just fucked. And then they introduced Johnny Cage, and this, like, fast forward present day Johnny Cage intro on Earth. And they lean into heavily the Johnny Cage of, sort of like a Jean-Claude Van Damme type martial arts star. And the backstory being that, he actually was really good at martial arts, and then he got into movies, and then, all the fights became fake. And so he then he goes down on his dumps because people stopped wanting movies like that, and just wanting, like, real, like, John Wick type of, or that kind of violence, and the sort of like the Jean-Claude Van Damme goes out of style, so therefore Johnny Cage goes out of style, and now he's at a con, like at an empty booth in a con, signing autographs. And the movie that that they that they introduce him in is just hilarious, and the way he's recruited into fighting for Earth, it is really funny. But once they get him involved, it's like they just had no idea what to do with him. And he's played by Carl Urban, who and Carl Urban's really good, and so when they give him something to do, he's really good. But then there's like one other thing that they give him to do where he has to recruit the help of these people who are once again, it gets a little convoluted in the middle. One of the problems with the middle is that Kano shows up again, and it's like we have to deal with Kano again. He's kind of what fucked up the first movie for me, and now he's fucking up this movie. But at least I don't know. They, like I said, I came into this movie with super low expectations, but I was super excited to see Johnny Cage introduced. And I was super excited during the Johnny Cage introduction. And then again, the movie gets bogged down in the middle. And it's like, at some point, you need to just be like, we are in combat mode now, and we're going to stay in combat mode now, and we don't need more lore, and we don't need, and at some point, it's the good guys and bad guys need to be introduced within the context of the battles, and that should be enough, in my opinion. And I am low. I always say I don't like telling people how to tell their stories, but this movie just absolutely gets bogged down in the middle, and not knowing with Johnny Cage what to do with Johnny Cage is a part of the problem. Raiden literally having nothing to do is part of the problem, to the point that they practically kill him, and it's like, well, come on, man, you can't fucking kill Raiden. And so the movie gets bogged down, and it's not great, but again, like the ending fighting and stuff, it's good. And then they bring in Scorpion and Sub-Zero again, which they totally didn't do a good enough job in the first movie to, like, they didn't focus remotely enough on Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So it just feels like they're bringing them in just because, hey, let's bring them in. But then after the final fight scene, they do the Mortal Kombat music, and everything's forgiven. Look, okay, here at Real Talk, instead of doing stars, we do tacos. And if we feel like something deserves a little extra push, instead of doing like a half a taco like you would a half a star, we add guac. Why? Because nobody eats half a fucking taco. All right. So this is a 2 taco movie, but I am giving it 2 tacos plus guac for very simple, obvious reasons. One, the Johnny Cage intro is fantastic. Okay. Two, it has Johnny Cage in it, and I love Johnny Cage. I love the character of Johnny Cage, and I had fun with that. 3, it does just enough good to not be terrible. And it does just enough good to not be terrible as 2 tacos, and it does just enough fan service that is directed directly at me that I'm like, okay, I'll give you the guac for that. It's getting guac because of fan service, and I am owning that. I am not hiding behind it. I am not apologizing for it. I'm being upfront. If you like Johnny Cage, definitely, you're gonna like this one a little more than the first one, I think. If your characters from the first one were, if your characters are Scorpion or Sub Zero, you're good. You're not gonna like this. It's going to feel very cursory, their usage in this movie, and it's not good. All right, the other movie I saw, Sheep Detective, starring E. Jackman. Um, this is a movie for the whole family. Even though somebody dies. It's a murder mystery where uh the the shepherd of a flock of sheep in a small backwoods British English town uh is murdered, and the shepherd reads murder mysteries to his sheep every night, and so it falls on the flock of sheep to solve the murder mystery. Now, when people hear the sheep, all they hear is Bob, but the sheep do talk to each other. And so, you know, Bryan Cranston, Patrick Stewart, Julie Louis Dreyfus, amongst others, do voices for the sheep. And you know, it's sheep talking, and there are sheep jokes, and there are, and inexplicably they are solving a mystery. And it's a super basic, like, procedural, you know, Hercule Poirot or Nancy Drew or whatever, where there's a small set of suspects and you have to figure out amongst the small set of suspects who is the one that committed the murder. And this is a absurdly charming movie. It is an absurdly wholesome movie. It is a perfectly fun movie. It is uh a completely watchable movie. It is good for everyone. Um I I would take umbrage with anybody who would say they didn't enjoy this movie. There's something wrong with you. Um and if all somebody said was, yeah, it was okay, cool. Because guess what? There's nothing wrong with, yeah, it was okay. Like, if somebody said that was probably the best movie I'm going to see all year, I would say, hey, you need to get out and see more movies. Um, but it's so good. Like, I would recommend this to every person on the planet. Like, there isn't a single person on the planet where I'd say, yeah, maybe you shouldn't see Sheep Detectives. It's probably not going to be for you. This movie's for everybody. It you know it it has the sensibilities of like a Paddington or something like that, where it's a family movie, but it doesn't baby anything down. It's just fun for everybody, and the mystery is probably a little thin, but good enough that you're still wondering, okay, well, we who it isn't, and who it isn't is clearly the person who's going to get it pinned on, and you're just waiting for them to. But it's a procedural, so of course, this is a fantastic movie. Everybody on the planet should see this movie. It's just period, end of story. Like, support movies like The Sheep Detectives. Yes, it's eventually going to make its way to Prime. No, you should not wait for it to reach its way to Prime, because you need to show that to Prime that I am willing to go out into theaters and see your movie. Okay. And then when it comes to Prime, watch it on Prime too. Uh, you know, Four Tacos. The easy Four Tacos. At one point during the movie, I was like, do I give this more than Four Tacos because it's just delightfully wholesome and wonderful? And I was like, it literally is just wholesome and wonderful. There are aspects of the movie that are like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, and why are you doing that? And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay that there are parts of the movie that don't make any sense. And for that, you don't get, you don't get guac, you don't get 5 tacos. You get the 4 tacos because it's just perfect. A perfect 4 taco movie. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I enjoyed going to the movies this weekend. I've got more coming next week, so we'll see you say here about the same time next Tuesday. Go out and see movies. Go see Sheep Detectives for Pete's sake. No reason not to. All right. All right.